bought a Samurai and you're expecting a nice smooth ride, you bought the wrong vehicle, my friend. So we're here with this 1986 Suzuki Samurai tin top, bone stock. Pretty sure all the suspension is original to this car and never been replaced. So it definitely rides a little rough. Since it's such a short wheelbase, it doesn't allow a lot of room for the car to move smoothly over the bumps. Instead, it finds an awkward rhythm and it feels like it hits the bumps at all the wrong times. Not only that, but here in the US, our Samurai has leaf springs in all four corners. Leaf springs definitely bounce you around quite a bit and beat you up while you're driving down the road. But it's also a blast, so it works out.
So the very first thing that you can do to make your Samurai ride smoother is to let some air out of your damn tires. Now these are stock tires, so we don't have a ton of sidewall. We don't want to air down too much to the point where we're going to ding up our nice polished wheels here, but by airing down, it's going to allow the tire to absorb a lot of those inconsistencies in the road. You don't have to have one of these, but it does help to have a gauge. Usually you can get these free at an off-road swap meet or anywhere really, or buy one for like $2. I like this one. It's mechanical. There's nothing fancy to it. There's no batteries. It just always works. The best tool that you can use to air down your tire itself is one that Mother Nature provides. So I always find a nice pointy rock and go for it. Now that we got this tire to about 13 PSI, we're gonna roll over some small bumps and see how it feels.
The second thing that you can do, it's also pretty inexpensive, but you can replace your 40-year-old Samurai shocks and you should expect to get a little bit smoother ride out of that. Not to mention the shocks are so small that you can barely see them. Now besides tire pressure and replacement shocks, there is an alternative, and that's to do something a little bit like this. This is my 87, it has a 4-inch spring under axle setup from Tough. I did a video on that whole setup already. I'll put the link in here somewhere and you can check it out if you have more questions. So by upgrading our actual suspension, we're definitely going to get a better ride quality out of it. However, I would note that just by lifting your Samurai, you're not always going to guarantee a better ride. It really depends on the specifics of the setup that you go with. So with this kit specifically, I was able to put longer shock hoops in the front, allowing me to fit a much bigger shock in the front end. Not only that, but the leaf springs themselves are extended in the front and the rear. It really gives everything a little bit more room to move around as we're hitting bumps. So here's our stock rear leaf spring hanger. So this is the rear perch for the leaf spring. As you can see, it's definitely more heavy duty than the stock ones. It hangs down a little further, and it's really just gonna perform better than the stock setup there. And here is the rear of the stock rear leaf spring hanger. You can see this is bringing our leaf spring out quite a bit further than stock. Therefore, it's gonna allow more space for our leaf springs to travel up and down. The extended shock hoop definitely allows you to put a much bigger shock in the front of your Samurai. Not only length, but width a little bit too, which really just helps soak up all those bumps a little bit better than your stock old crusty shocks will. And as you can see in the rear, we have more Fox shocks hidden and tucked away up there. Not only did we upgrade the suspension components themselves, we've also bumped up to a bigger tire. This is a 31-inch tire. Therefore, we're getting way more sidewall out of it, a wider tread pattern. That way we're able to soak up all the small inconsistencies of the road that much better. So with a tire like this in the dirt, I'm definitely running pretty low pressure. If I'm in the sand, I'm gonna be around 10 to 12. If I'm in the snow, I'm gonna be at like 3 or 4. If I'm on a kind of a rocky area, I'll probably be around 12, 14, 16. It just depends, but with how light a Samurai is, you can definitely cheat and get away with pretty low tire pressure. Now that is definitely enough talking. Let's see how these two setups handle the bumps differently. Now, if you do a simple lift kit, spring under axle or spring over axle, and you're still not pleased with the ride quality of your Samurai, from there the alternative would be to go with a full custom setup like a 3-link, or start hacking away and get creative with it and see what you can come up with. So I'm definitely no suspension expert, but by putting some longer and bigger shocks on the front and the back of my car, and by getting some upgraded leaf springs that extend the front end a little bit forward and a little bit further backward, has definitely improved the ride quality of my Samurai. Not only is suspension a factor, but our wheel and tire package has definitely made a difference. And that's pretty much the basics of it.
That's it. Thanks. Bye.